Unbelievable. Oh my goodness.
SHW, this is our wrestling.
This is insane. Are you kidding me right now? Hey, what is going on here? The action is fast and furious. You never know who's going to show up in SHW.
Brandon Benefield, Gerard Bonner, and Diana Michelle.
Business is about to pick up. This place just went ballistic. What is going on, everybody? It's the SHW podcast. This is our wrestling. B-double Brandon Benefield, GB Gerard Bonner, and the lovely Diana Michelle right there. And we were off for a week, taking a little vacation time. But, hey, we're back. And the last show, SHW29, it was a huge show. But before we get to it, how's everybody doing? Diana, you good?
Yeah, I'm good. Rested, well, fed, good, healthy, all of the above.
Perfect. GB, how you feeling?
That's an amazing combination. Fed, the fed part is the best part. Fed and
Yes.
healthy. Yeah. I'm good. I can't complain. 4th of July was fun. And the fact that it was Sunday and then, the corporate federal holiday was Monday kind of gave me a little bit longer to chill. So yeah, I'm good. I'm hanging. I'm ready to do some more SHW stuff, man.
Yes.
Absolutely. Well, 4th of July weekend was awesome. And it was off to a great start because we started it with SHW29 and the fireworks got started early, figuratively and literally. No, not literally. We didn't actually have fireworks, but
side note, do they do a lot of fireworks in your neighborhoods by chance?
Oh yeah, for like 4 days straight.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I was like, this is the song that will never end. I mean, it's crazy the amount of fireworks that have been going off. It's nuts.
Yeah, I wouldn't say they were fireworks in my neighborhood. They're more like homemade pipe bombs or something. I don't know, but it's just we don't do anything like we're supposed to do down here.
Yikes.
Right. Well, I knew whenever the 4th is on a weekend, you could pretty much expect Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday of fireworks. That's just typically how that works when it's on a weekend. So and now so in Georgia, for the longest time, they weren't legal, but
right.
But you always heard them on like New Year's and on 4th of July.
Sure.
Legally, you weren't supposed to hear them the rest of the year, but you would still sometimes. But once they became legal, which I don't know, in the last couple of years, I think they became legal. You hear them all the time anyway. Like I hear them on all the holidays around where I'm
even
up in
Christmas. Have you heard them on Christmas?
Yeah.
I've heard them on Christmas.
Yeah.
But I still think
any reason for somebody to light something on fire here.
It's true. But I think New Year's and July 4th are still the two biggest, fireworks holidays. But anyways, like I said, we started off the weekend huge with another huge show at SHW 29. And since we weren't here last week to review it for you, we'll go ahead and kind of go through the card tonight and give you a quick rundown in case you missed it. Hopefully, I think it's on IWTV at this point. So you need to check it out. And see it for yourself. But again, like Diana, like Gerard, and myself have told you every single show, it's better to be there live. You got to be there live.
Much better.
But if you can't, we understand. But check it out on IWTV.
And the other side too is you probably should do both, because when you're there live, you don't have the privilege of hearing us in commentary or seeing the wonderful production as this show is put together. And I promise you, our production team does an amazing job, with in between matches. I mean, it's just phenomenal. So there's a reason we're the best in independent wrestling. And a lot of it has to do with the combination of folks you see right here and the folks that are behind the scenes. So make sure you're coming and then turn around and watch it on IWTV, because I guarantee you'll learn something you didn't know.
That's right.
Absolutely. Well, to kick things off, before we actually even had our first match, we had a Gary Lamb made his way to the ring, the general manager, but he wasn't alone. He came with Dylan and Todd Sexton. Now, Todd Sexton is a name that a lot of people in Georgia wrestling are familiar with. He has been backstage doing a lot of I don't know what name exactly to call him, but in like an authority
like coaching,
figure,
mentoring, that type of thing.
Authority
pretty
figure
much
type
been
role.
the man. He's been the one who pretty much makes sure everything goes as it should.
Right. And so he's been backstage for a number of our shows. However, maybe the last 2 or 3 where he's actually kind of come out of the back at some point to help break up a melee or something. Yeah. But this was the first time where Gary and Dylan both officially announced that he was kind of an authority figure type role behind the scenes. And so he actually started shaking things up right away.
Yeah.
We already had a couple of matches lined up, and he put a stipulation on them where he made them Rumblejack qualifying matches.
Yeah. So, just to put this in context for people, because people don't necessarily fully understand what's happening, this is the equivalent of when Eric Bischoff showed up on Raw, right? And I'm not overstating that. Todd Sexton is not just some random guy who's been running around Georgia wrestling, right? He has done some significant things in other spaces. And
he's been 4-time Booker of the Year, was he not?
4-time Booker of the Year, and that was obviously not in Southern Honor. We are coming up on our 3rd year anniversary, and we know who the Booker is. So, it's one of those things that it was mentioned, but I don't know if people really got the magnitude of this. This is a big time move, all right? It's literally like when one of your competitors comes and starts working for you. It doesn't happen a whole lot in the industry, but it's happening now, and it's a big deal. Again, the big equivalent, it's like when Paul Heyman and or Eric Bischoff showed up in WWE. It's that big. So I don't want us to miss the significance of Todd Sexton in Southern Honor Wrestling. Probably a year and a half ago, we would have thought that was impossible. So
it was competition, and now it's like, how did this happen? How did this happen?
In fact, you remember last year at the Rumblejack?
I was just about to say that as we're about to talk about the Rumblejack here during this show. It was actually Rumblejack last year that kind of opened that door.
The forbidden door.
There you go. And so, now that door's been kicked open.
Right?
Yeah, we sure did.
The Georgia Independent Wrestling Forbidden Door has been kicked open.
Yes.
Well,
absolutely.
So he made the stipulation for a couple of matches and turned them into qualifying matches for the Rumblejack. And that leads us to our first match of the night, which was Jordan Kingsley, SHW since day one, been here since the beginning, taking on Stunt Marshall. Now, GB, you want to give us a little refresher of that combo right there of what had happened in the previous month?
Certainly. At SHW28, they were in a tag team, an unexpected tag team that was supposed to be Cyrus the Destroyer and Jordan Kingsley, as they were really fighting for the Honor Society. And if they won that match against AllStar Special, Logan Chase would get all of the 2021 merch for AllStar Special, which, let me tell you something, I think we'd all like a piece of that merch, all right?
I would.
I mean, and Diana's doing merch, by the way, but we'd all like some of that AllStar merch, right?
Yeah.
The flip side is Logan Chase, if they lost, would end up being the manager of AllStar Special, where you already know he is now the manager of AllStar Special, and I can't wait till we get to that. But now that left things on Jordan Kingsley, and it put a split in this kind of makeshift team. And that leads us to the match we had at SHW29.
And what a great match it was. We talked about it on commentary. We talked about it on the pre-show. These are guys that physically match up pretty well. Their move sets, they're both kind of high flyers. And they put on a great show. Yeah. And as it turned out, Jordan Kingsley came out on top. So Jordan Kingsley is now going to be in the Rumblejack. By the way, a little more on Jordan Kingsley towards the end of the show. If you saw some of the videos that were released earlier this week, you know what I'm referring to, and we'll get to that here in a little bit. But first match of SHW29, he won the match. He's now in the Rumblejack. And And what are we thinking about Jordan Kingsley? A kind of an attitude shift as he shifted away from the Honor Society back to almost when we called him Air Kingsley back in the beginning, the early days of SHW, when he was a fan favorite.
I think he was, he was trying to get the crowd back behind him, after his match with Stunt.
They seemed a little reluctant, but
and they should be, I mean, it's not like he's been the fan favorite for a while. He's not been. So, I mean, just to come out and, win the match, whatever, and who's going to walk with a walker or a night walker or whatever it was. And nobody was like, I don't know, man. I felt bad. I was like, nobody's responding. Come on, what's up? What's up? Oh yeah, we're gonna walk with Jordan. Okay, so I don't know. I don't know. I'm glad that he's kind of broken off from that and he's going to be doing his own thing because he needed that fresh, start again, I guess. But I don't know. I think it's going to take a little bit for the fans to get back behind him.
It's funny you say that. The SHW faithful can be a tough crowd, and rightfully so, and they are not one who forgets very easily either.
Right.
Let's remember, again, Jordan Kingsley had been a fan favorite for a very long time, and it wasn't until his hunger for tag team gold led him to Logan Chase and to turn against the fans. And not just turning against the fans, but it also involved him really hurting and putting the boots to some of their favorites, like, the Lynch Mob and several others.
Right.
So, yeah, one match isn't enough to necessarily make people love him, though a little bit later they might have felt some sympathy for him, which we might get into that. But I think Jordan's got some more proving to do to the SHW faithful before they start walking with the Nightwalker. But we'll see. This is what happens when you associate with Logan Chase, and now you're trying to find your way home. We'll see how this works.
Right.
Well, there you go. And help me out with the next one, GB. Was the next one, was that Dani and Rekka?
Ooh, indeed it was.
So, so Dani Jordan, who we've dubbed the queen of SHW, and thus far she's defended her queendom very well. And she hasn't – I'm not going to say she hadn't been beaten because I don't have the stats in front of me, but she's done a
very rare.
Right. She's done a good job, a great job of holding her own and kind of claiming and defending that title of the queen of SHW. And then you have Rekka coming in, the Polynesian Savage, who, we were a little familiar with. A lot of the fans, I think, are seeing her for the first time at SHW29. But she's a beast, man. She came in there and right away tried to make a statement and saying that she's going to take Dani's spot, right? And so I think that threw a lot of people off. And we were a little bit like, well, wait a second. Dani's the queen. You can't just come in here and punk her out like that. And, well, what ended up happening? In what, like a minute and a half?
Yes.
Shocked all of us.
Well, I mean, it wasn't like she just dominated Dani, because Dani was on her. I mean, she jumped her. She had her in a corner. I mean, Dani had the upper hand for a good bit of that 90 seconds, but I don't know. It just took that one. I don't even what is that move called that she does? To me, it feels like her head's being smashed into just driven into the mat from the fish.
I got to be honest with you, GB, and you could probably agree with me here. You've seen Rekka. She's very intimidating. Yes. I've been a little too nervous to go speak to her and say, hey, give us the name of your move. What do we call that? So I don't actually know what that's called, and nor am I eager to go talk to her to find out. So maybe somebody can fill us in on that at some point. But as far as I know right now, we'll just.
She's really nice, though. I mean, I talked to her before the show. I want to make sure I had all my information correct. She was completely. I think she'd be okay with it.
Whoa. Time out.
That was probably Rekka coming in to beat up your phone.
Did she just call me nice?
Right.
Oh my God.
I will say this, we've seen some very intriguing things happen in the course of wrestling history, and certainly in SHW. And on the pre-show, and even when we were previewing the show with AC Mack, we were all intrigued to see what Rekka would do. nobody anticipated a 90-second match.
Right.
Nobody saw that coming.
Nope.
And I have to say, you know, we've seen some amazing people come in SHW and challenge Dani Jordan. I think about Lindsay Snow. You know, I think about Harlow O'Hara. I think of some very physical matches. But the reason we kind of consider it domination is nobody has come in and beat Dani Jordan in 90 seconds. It just hasn't happened. And so, you know, not only did she beat her, then she just walked out.
Yeah.
It was just like, oh my gosh, what have we seen here? You know, when we get to a point where we're reviewing the year, and I know we're coming up on the 3-year anniversary, and we'll start obviously looking at things. When I start thinking about the most dominating moments in the history of SHW, that's going to be a top one. You know, previous to that, you know, we think about Gunnar Miller and his, you know, 2-minute matches beating this one and that one. But this was so different because we've never seen a female come in and do this, let alone to Dani Jordan, who has just been one of the toughest male or female competitors in all of SHW. This was mind-blowing. I mean, it really was. I'm still trying to digest what happened and what this all means, because it's very clear Rekka is the one.
Yeah. And well, you mentioned, what does it all mean? Well, earlier this week, we saw, and if you didn't see it, check it out on SHW's Facebook page, which is where you're watching us right now. But scroll down and find the video from earlier this week where you basically see pretty much the entire match, because it was such a short match. And then at the end, Dani, she's got her gear and she's on her way out of the building. Susie tried to stop her real quick, tried to get a quick word with her. Dani wasn't having it, walked right past her, and kind of shocked me. She had the burn book, drops it in the trash can, and then walks out of the building. And it made us all wonder, like, is she walking away? Is she walking away from SHW? I don't know what to make of it. I mean, because clearly Rekka came in. She said she was going to take her spot. She beat her in like 90 seconds, whatever it was. And Dani, and then after the match, you see it on video, Dani looks shocked. We're all shocked. The crowd's stunned. And what does that mean? She threw away the burn book and left the building, never spoke a word to Susie. I don't know. I don't know what to make of it.
I'm not sure.
I'm still kind of shaken up by the whole match, but her reaction to it. I mean, we talked about it with AC. What's going to happen if she loses? Will she bounce back? Will she come back harder? What's it going to do to her mentality? Because Rekka was playing them mind games, man. She was in her head. So what's going to happen is my question. I don't.
You know, it reminds me of a couple of things. I'll go primarily with, and this is a sore spot, so forgive me. A couple of years ago, it was 21-3 at the top of the third quarter at the Super Bowl, right? I had to go here because that's kind of how Dani started.
I didn't know where you were going. I didn't know where you were going.
That's You know, that's kind of how it started. Dani came in like a house of fire, and we were just like, okay, she's going to defend her crown. And nobody, I mean, we talked about the possibility of her losing, but losing in a 15-minute match versus losing in 90 seconds, it's two completely different animals. And the shock for the Atlanta Falcons, they honestly haven't really recovered ever since. I don't know what happens to Dani. Now, I'd like to say that, you know, when they caught that footage of her walking out, it was that night. It was immediately after. It was emotional. She was trying to gather her thoughts. She's got a little bit of time to think about it. And I don't think that's the last we see of Dani Jordan, for a very simple reason. You don't defend the crown of SHW for almost 3 years, take an L, and leave. Dani has gone through a lot in her wrestling career and in her life. I think she finds a way to bounce back. There's got to be a rematch. Dani just can't walk away that way because we've just got to see. We've got to know. And I'm not saying that what happened at SHW29 was a fluke, by no means. But I'm very intrigued to see what happens after Dani has faced a massive challenge like this. And I don't think she's going to go out like the Falcons did.
Yeah, and you're right, because She hasn't faced something like this before.
She hasn't.
So we will find out hopefully soon enough.
Yeah.
But moving on to the next match. Help me out again. Is that the tag match? Is that AllStar?
That was indeed the tag team match with AllStar Special and
Southern Strong Style.
Southern Strong Style. What a match that was.
Yes.
So
showing.
let's just stop for 1 second here. So it starts with Logan Chase, who is now the manager of AllStar Special, coming out. He rickrolled everybody, first of all. And if you're not familiar with what being rickrolled is, at least a few years ago when it was a popular thing, a friend or somebody might text you or email you a link, say, "Oh, this video is hilarious. You got to check it out." You go to click on the link, and it's Rick Astley, never gonna give you up, or what is it?
Yeah, it's one of my favorite songs, though.
Oh yeah, I love it.
Well,
it
became this like internet meme sensation kind of thing where it was like a running joke where you got rickrolled, and so Logan Chase, we always get excited. What's the song gonna be for AllStar Special this month?
Yeah.
They put $1 in the jukebox. What's it gonna be? Well, he comes out wearing his normal attire, which shocked us because we assumed he was gonna be in a greasy Waffle House apron or something. And
I prayed for it.
He comes out, and we all got rickrolled. We're like, wait. And he's laughing.
Thanks to the Ben Hansen saved the day. He brought us all back to reality of what was really going on. And it was great. It was wonderful.
Depends on your perspective.
Exactly.
So
I think we can all agree that was the best moment ever.
It was pretty wild. It was wild.
It was unforgettable.
In fact, I said it on commentary. Hopefully you don't get too mad at me, Diana. But Logan almost tried to kind of match your outfit.
Yeah, I know.
With the denim.
He was doing his thing, but I was like, you know what? It would be great if I could just squat down beside him and he's not noticing and have them like snap a picture or something. That would be so good.
Well, magic.
Let's back up a second. And if you haven't seen it yet, this is worth checking out IWTV. But I'm not even sure what you would call this. So first of all, Hansen pulled him back in. He said, no, this is not what we agreed to. You're not wearing the outfit, the uniform for the AllStar Special that you're supposed to be wearing. Pulls him backstage for him to change. They come out to Party in the USA, which, by the way, that was a AC Mac special request.
Yes.
They come out to that song, and it was like a denim Speedo. Like, I don't know if it has a name, exactly what you would call it. But whatever it was frightening, a little bit frightening.
Daisy Duke would be upset.
These were like...
Yeah, it was worse than Daisy.
No, Daisy Duke would be blushing wearing this.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
It was,
I don't know. It was bad, but I could not stop. I could not like look away.
It's like a bad car wreck.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's like yeah. That's all.
It is seared into my mind. I can't get it out. I'm trying.
He has very nice legs.
I'm sure that's something he's not heard before.
Nice.
I couldn't tell if they were like hose or if they were freshly shaved.
I think they were pantyhose.
I thought they were shaved, and I was like, "Dang, you got nice legs." And I started feeling like I need to go put my pants back on and take my shorts and put them away. But then he was like, "Oh, I'm wearing stockings or hose." I'm like, "I need to go get some hose."
Well,
so, I don't know.
Pantyhose, yes.
Yeah,
pantyhose.
like the legs, like the ones that come in that egg.
Yeah, legs.
So if
heard that in a while.
If the entrance wasn't enough, we had a match to get to.
There was actually a match, right?
Right. So you had AllStar Special taking on SHW newcomers Southern Strong Style. That was J2 Strong and Proc the Croc Johnston. And those guys, I was impressed. They put up a good debut. However, it wasn't quite enough as AllStar Special was able to pull out the win. But I will say there was a couple times where Logan Chase seemed to interfere with his own team.
Yeah, he did.
The team that he was forced to manage, by the way.
Yes,
he totally did.
And it makes me wonder how dedicated to the cause he really is. And before the night was over, I think we could see, in my opinion, Logan Chase still has his hands floating around in other business. He's not fully AllStar Special yet.
No. But he tripped up Huck, and then Hansen's reaming him for it. And he's like, what? I don't even like y'all. I have to do this, you know? So I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
So now we see what's up. But you still can't tell me that he didn't enjoy doing that just a little bit.
Well, see, in GB, you kind of alluded to this a little bit on commentary, if my memory serves me correctly. But All-Star Special, you would think, would kind of maybe be in line for a shot at the tag titles. And we'll get to that in a second. Something else happened a little later in the show that kind of gave us that idea. Yeah. And if you're Logan Chase, his whole mentality since he's been here has been that he wants to manage the team that has the gold. Yeah. So if All-Star Special ends up somehow or another becoming the tag team champs, I have a feeling he'll change his tune a little bit.
And I have a thought that I will share when we get to it a little bit later, because it's starting to, my spidey senses.
Well, in actuality, on that one though, if they do, I mean, it's not like the Honor Society has a combination of anybody right now that can even consider to be up for the tag championship. Yeah. I mean, Cyrus can't do it alone because it's a tag team. Yeah. That's it. There's not. Is there even an Honor Society anymore? Unless he have a society of one. I don't know.
Unless he pulls a Braun Strowman and pulls like an 8-year-old from the crowd to be his part. Because Cyrus could take on 2 guys. I could see that happening.
He could do that.
However, I don't think he could do it against Technical Excellence.
No.
But anywho, we'll get to that here in a bit. But moving on to the next match, we had Ben Buchanan taking on Judas in what was a rematch from last November, I believe it was. 2 big old boys. You talk about a hoss fight. I mean, there's not many people that can go toe-to-toe and eyeball to eyeball with Judas. And people forget just how big Ben Buchanan is. And he gets in there and he's just matching up toe-to-toe. Strength-wise, they're on the same level. This was another match, by the way, that Todd Sexton had made the stipulation for a Rumblejack qualifying match. So what were you guys' thoughts on this match?
Well, you know, I was definitely for Judas because I mean, Ben he's left a bad taste in my mouth when he was beating up on Bull. So I mean, I didn't have anything positive on that side. And Judas is a monster. I mean, he is truly a monster. I mean, he can. I'd put him against anybody because he's just that good. But I don't know. It was a great match. I mean, Ben did surprise me. He did not back down or didn't, waver any, because Judas was giving him all he had and he was taking it and giving it right back. So
yeah, it certainly seemed like the ultimate opportunity for Ben once you added that stipulation in. We talked before about the challenges Ben was having, but it certainly seemed like momentum was on Ben's side to get a win, and talk about a major upset that would have been. Indeed, it would have been. Said Ben too much. Anyway, the reality of it is it was a fantastic match, and Judas did get the win. But I was more surprised about what happened after the match, and that is what people are talking about.
Yeah.
So you had Ben Buchanan, who he wasn't just upset that he lost the match. I mean, this guy threw a fit. Now, the only other guy that I can remember in SHW that threw a bigger hissy fit possibly was Ashton Starr at one point.
Hashtag guest.
Yeah, right. But I mean, Ben just threw an outright fit. And not only that, but he reiterated over and over, I quit SHW. I'm going to move on to bigger and better things. I'm going to become a superstar. So take that for whatever you think it means. I'm not sure. But he seems to be, we mentioned Dani Jordan earlier. She didn't officially say anything. She just left. What does that mean? Well, Ben Buchanan straight up said, I quit. So will we see him again? We don't know.
Well, when he left, he made sure to come to the commentary booth specifically to say, you will see me again, and he gave one of the more coded, veiled messages that we've seen in SHW. He talked about how he's going to a place where the sun always shines, where body fat is 1%, where everybody has all their teeth, which is not a kind thing to say about the people of Canton. I know a lot of people there who have their teeth. So it was interesting. And then he used that term, he's going to be a superstar. which if you look at his win-loss record, you couldn't necessarily tell. However, in comma, one of the things that we said about Ben a year ago when we first saw him was that this guy has all the promise in the world. He has all the makings of a superstar. He is somebody who, in time, we will be seeing, on larger stages. Does this mean that this is what we could be looking at? Can you really quit SHW and then be seen other places? It's very, very possible. Where those other places are, I guess time's going to tell. But I did not expect that to be how we would end up seeing Ben Buchanan at SHW29. That was a shocker.
Yeah. And, well, because like you said, Judas won that match. So now Judas, we know, is an entrant into the Rumblejack coming up next month, August 6th. Rumblejack, a.k.a. SHW30, finally made it to 30, even though we talked about this before. It's like, oh, we're all the way at 30. Well, we also missed 6 months, 5 or 6 months. So we should be farther, but it's still crazy to think that we're all the way at SHW 30. But
it is.
I believe it was after this match, and you can correct me if I'm wrong. And if not, I'm sure some of our viewers or listeners will correct me. But I think it was after this match where, unscheduled, all of a sudden we see Jordan Kingsley come flying through the curtain, but not on his own. He was thrown through the curtain by Cyrus the Destroyer, who apparently had been backstage and was taking out a little bit of aggression from the loss from last month, and just totally beat down Jordan Kingsley. I'm talking about powerbomb on the apron, multiple huge impact moves in the ring, and just decimating Jordan Kingsley.
It was sickening. I mean, seriously, it was definitely a size advantage for Cyrus, a strength advantage for Cyrus. And it was, I mean, he was just throwing it around like a rag doll. I mean, I was feeling bad for Jordan. I was worried. I mean, I have to say, I was on that side of people who was screaming at Cyrus to stop. You don't have to do this. Why? Why are you doing this?
Yeah.
I mean, I was really worried.
Whoa. Yeah. One of the things that's interesting to me is what was Cyrus doing there in the first place?
Yeah.
Right. So let's remember SHW28, he was scheduled, but apparently had a revolutionary opportunity. He's not scheduled for SHW29, and then he shows up. And he shows up specifically to beat up Jordan Kingsley. Why would he do that? Cyrus lost nothing at SHW28. He didn't lose the merch money. After all, he was at a revolutionary opportunity. So why would he be present at SHW29 and we only see him come out and beat up Jordan Kingsley? My thought is, remember, Cyrus is the personal instrument of destruction for one Logan Chase. I believe Logan Chase is double dipping. I believe Logan is doing what he has to do with AllStar Special, what he wants to do with Cyrus. He's still getting revenge. And I think before it's all over, we could see a revamped honor society.
New members, you think?
I think. I'll explain my theory a little later.
Okay.
All right. Well, moving on, this was the next match was a big tag team match that a lot of folks were looking forward to. This match already had a big stipulation in place going into the show, so we knew about this. I'm talking about Ashton Starr, Ziki Dice teaming up against Owen Knight and AC Mack. Now, the stipulation was whoever took the pinfall in this match would automatically be ineligible for the Rumblejack. That person's partner would then have to become the number one entrant into the dreaded number one entrant into the Rumblejack. Unfortunately for Owen and AC Mack, Mack took the pinfall, which shocked me because I can't imagine a Rumblejack without Mack in it. Now, let me rewind. He was not in the very first one, but that's because he was the champ. But he was at least there. He sat in commentary and called the match with us, and then of course he was in the next one last year. He was the number one entrant, coincidentally, and the fact that he's not going to be in it at all kind of blows my mind a little bit. And of course, I feel bad for Owen because Owen didn't even take the pinfall, yet he's got to go number one here in this match in the Rumblejack. So Your thoughts on this tag team match?
Well, you know who my picks were. You know, we all have beef with Ashton, and Ziki's he loves to pick on me, and I don't like it too much, but I don't know. I didn't see AC and Owen coming out on the losing end of this one. I knew with all my heart they were going to take them out, and
yeah,
I was shocked. I didn't want to have to say AC is not going to be in there. I didn't want to have to announce that. I didn't want to look at them in the face and say that. It was hard. Owen, I think he can do it. I think he can still come out on top, even though he is number one entrant. But it's gonna be tough. You don't have to dig deep. But yeah, Ziki and Ashton was definitely not my pick.
Yeah, you know, I am just shocked, for lack of a better word. I mean, like, shock and awe is probably a really good statement when we think about what happened here, because it just, I didn't see this coming. It was one of those kind of impossible situations, right? Like, I couldn't see the Rumble Jack without any of the four of those competitors.
Yeah.
All four of them are top stars in SHW. And if you think about what's happened with AC Mack, he, with the exception of one match or so, he's pretty much been on a huge winning streak in SHW. It just seemed as though a title run was in the cards for AC Mack.
Right.
It just made sense. And considering he was number one last year, it was clear he was going to do everything he could to not be number one this year. Same thing for Owen Knight, who was, again, in the final two of the Rumble Jack last year. You just think to yourself, wow, there's no way that those guys are going to lose this match. And it was some chicanery that happened for sure. A great tag team match, but lots of questions now. What does Owen Knight do? I mean, like, you got to train completely different when you're number one versus when you're number 30. And right now, we don't know all of the competitors that are in there. Even if we did, you don't have a long time to train for, you know, the first Friday in August. It's just a couple of weeks away.
Yeah.
And the endurance level you have to have for that. And we'll talk about the Rumble Jack rules in a little bit, but this is not what Owen Knight had in mind. And if you think about how his 2021 started, you know, it looked like he was going to start at the top, and he kind of got screwed. And you could argue to some degree he kind of got screwed, not necessarily by AC Mack, but more so by Ziki Dice and Guest. So this is going to be a very interesting scenario for the Rumble Jack, but I'm shocked. I am shocked. I cannot believe that AC Mack will not be in the Rumble Jack and that Owen Knight will be number one. Wow.
Yeah.
That's the only time you don't want to be number one, right?
Correct.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, before we get into the next match, we actually, a video was shown to the crowd there in the Action Building about an entrant into the Rumble Jack, a guy who's never been in SHW before. He'll be making his debut in the Rumble Jack match. GB, you and I are pretty familiar with him. Diana, you might be as well, because he started to make his rounds around the Georgia indie scene lately. I'm talking about Carly Bravo, a graduate of the Nightmare Factory, and very talented individual, one of the top guys in his class, and doing big things in a few other promotions right now. He's been on AEW a number of times. So I'm excited to see him make his debut at the Rumble Jack. And what kind of statement would that be, to come in your very first night in the promotion and win the Rumble Jack and become the number one contender? That would be nuts. So, and also, quick reminder, don't forget, last month we found out it was going to be Tank that was going to be an entrant. So there's a couple of entrants right there, Tank and Carly Bravo, both making their SHW debuts in the Rumble Jack match. So should be exciting.
Yeah, it's going to be a big night.
It's going to be a very big night. And I would just say, expect the unexpected. I think if 2021 has shown us anything, it's that anything can happen. Who would have thought that a newcomer to SHW would upend the queen of SHW? How many new people have come in and tried to do that and did it in dominating fashion? So I just think never say never. Carly Bravo is a guy that the second I saw him, I'm like, he is a star.
Yeah.
He's a star. He was one of the top competitors in, again, the Nightmare Factory First Class. And he won that main event, actually. If you guys go back and watch that on YouTube, he's been all over the place. He's a rising star, and a spot like SHW is the premier place for someone like Carly Bravo. And I'm telling you, this may not be the last we see of Carly Bravo, and it's very possible that Carly Bravo could walk out of the Rumble Jack as the #1 contender to the SHW championship. The streets would be talking.
Yeah.
Trust me on that one.
Wouldn't that be something?
Yeah.
Wouldn't that be something? Well, let's talk about this tag team title match where we had Technical Excellence, Chip Day, Kyle Matthews, of course, who, we've said before, I can envision them going on a very long championship reign. I don't know who could take it from them, but I'd be shocked if it's anytime soon. But we did have this new tag team making their debut, Renegades of Flight. That's Kincaid and Facade. Now, we'd heard a little bit about these guys. Pretty good following on the independent scene, been around for a number of years, and very, very talented. And
Very.
I was impressed with what I saw.
Yes.
Sleazy E was their manager, coming out on the wheels and getting involved. Actually, at one point, trying to run over, I think it was Kyle Matthews.
He ran over Kyle. He ran him over,
Yeah, I mean, they were, some underhanded tactics, doing what they could to come in there and make a statement on their very first night if they would have won the tag team titles.
You don't get a name like Sleazy E by being nice.
True.
Exactly.
Okay.
Very true. But what do you guys think of these newcomers? I thought it was a great match.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I was there were a few times where I thought, oh my gosh, these guys are coming in on the first night and they're going to walk out of here tag team champs.
It was close. I mean, I was impressed. I mean, last show, I didn't know anything. I couldn't even remember their names. Whatever. I mean, I learned quick. I learned quick to keep my eye up and figure out who these guys are, because they definitely they have technical moves. They have some stuff I've never ever seen before. And they took Kyle and Chip to the limit. And like you said, I was a couple of times I was like, oh, on the edge of my seat hitting Zach. I was like, oh my God.
Yeah.
What's happening? So when they didn't pull it off, this thankfully. I'm still a Chip and Kyle girl, but they did have me worried for a minute. They're pretty awesome. They're a pretty awesome team.
I think Technical Excellence has done something that no other team, no slight to any other team, has done with the SHW Tag Team Championships. They have really elevated the worth of that championship.
Yes.
There's a statement that, sometimes it's the men who make the titles or the titles who make the men. And I think in this case, these guys are making the titles.
Yes.
They're super decorated without tag team gold, but with tag team gold and the quality and caliber of matches they're having and the opponents that they're facing, they are elevating the SHW Tag Team Championships to be the premier tag team title in independent wrestling. And that's a major, major move, a major statement. Now, a team like Facade and Kincaid, I think if we had a different set of tag team champions, they would have walked out with the titles. They were that good. I mean,
I agree.
They could not be denied. So that says a lot about Technical Excellence. I hope we get to see the Renegades of Flight again. And based on the way they left, seems like we might.
Yeah. They just went after the tag champs. They attacked them.
Yeah.
They did.
And, we kind of alluded to this earlier. Who comes out to make the save?
AllStar.
AllStar Special. As they make the save, they also picked up the tag titles. Kind of looked at them for a second and then handed them back to Kyle and Chip. So there you go. AllStar Special in line for the titles. We shall see. And again, like I said, if they end up winning the tag titles, I guarantee you Logan Chase will immediately change his tune and be like, oh, yeah, these are my guys. But we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. I don't know.
So earlier we talked about Dani Jordan, Rekka Tahaka, 90 seconds, whatever it was, somewhere around there, a very short match, a shocking match.
Well, wait. Before we
Okay.
get there, I want to put a pin in that because I want to go back to this All-Star special thing.
Sure.
Because I saw some things. They had a different twinkle in their eye when they grabbed those tag team championships.
Yeah.
And so it made me wonder, think about this. This is an interesting challenge, I think, for them. They are beloved by the fans right now.
Mm-hmm.
And all the they've proven their worth. There's no doubt about it. They are undefeated as a tag team in SHW. So are they in line for the tag team titles? Absolutely. What are they willing to do, though, to become tag team champions? That's another story. And I don't know. Maybe I saw too deep into it, but it looked as though they'd be willing to do almost anything. Think about this. They are very interested in being the #1 tag team in all of Georgia wrestling.
Mm-hmm.
There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. In fact, I saw on the socials that Huckabee was even asking, can a tag team be voted as Wrestler of the Year? He's very interested in that. Now, they could do what they want. I think that there's argument. Certainly, I think when we start talking tag team of the year, when we get to that voting place, whenever that may happen, I think the 2 tag teams you have to look at are All-Star Special and Technical Excellence. I think there are 2 different reasons why they both could be considered tag team of the year. With that said, what will our All-Star Special do to become tag team champions? And is this a time where Logan Chase starts influencing them?
It's a good point.
That's a question.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you this, when you get the tag titles, I'm not going to say you don't need that merch money, but tag team gold comes with a little extra in the paycheck. So there's a possibility that they could, I don't know. I'm intrigued to see where this goes for sure. And a tag match between those 2 could be very interesting.
Yeah, definitely.
And I'm curious to see who the fans might lean towards because you have 2 very fan favorite teams right there.
Yes.
Technical Excellence. And it's even hard for me to judge who's more popular with the fans.
Right.
Yeah.
Because Technical Excellence is up there. We know All-Star Special is up there.
Yes.
So it could be very, very.
And they love them for different reasons.
Oh, yeah.
So
definitely.
Be very interesting.
Very interesting for sure.
They're 2 of my favorites.
Yeah.
Yes.
They're 2 of our favorites. I mean, I think
ours as well.
All
Absolutely.
the fans
I mean,
would agree.
I look forward to the All-Star Special coming out every show. I love that whole entrance. I mean, I live for it. And, but I'm joking. I mean, Chip and Kyle, though. I mean, like you said, I love them for 2 completely different reasons. But I don't know.
If they end up winning the tag titles, do you think their next song that they come out to would be Queen? Right? We Are the Champions.
It would make sense to me.
And that's one that a lot of fans know. I think that would be a good song.
We'll keep on fighting.
Anyways,
till the end.
Just saying. I'm sure that's already crossed their mind.
Oh God!
It could be their exit song as they were going back.
It could be. It could be
that too.
So we shall see. But like I mentioned earlier, we talked about a short match in the Rekka Dani match, right?
Yeah.
And I thought, okay, there's our one short match of the night. Like I didn't expect to see anything like that again throughout the rest of this card.
Yeah.
And then we get an even shorter match when it came to Gunnar Miller and Corey Hollis. Now, this was a match, too, that had been building and building and building for months, highly anticipated. And I still don't think this feud is over.
No.
Not yet by a long shot, as Stone Cold Steve Austin might say.
Yeah.
But it shocked us all at how quick this match ended. And you want to describe a little bit of how it went down and shocked the entire crowd?
Absolutely. I mean, again, we knew that it was going to be a barn burner. We knew that this wasn't going to be a technical masterpiece because these 2 guys hate each other. And it was every bit of a brawl, but certainly it looked like Gunnar Miller was about to wipe the floor up with Corey Hollis as he went for his traditional game-changing spear, which is usually followed by a jackhammer. And he speared him, but he never really got up. And we started wondering, what happened? Did he knock himself out by hitting his head on the ground? Like, what on earth is going on here? only to find out that literally a couple seconds later, Corey Hollis turns him over, pins him clean for the 1, 2, 3. Like, proof positive that there are no bathroom breaks in SHW.
True.
Because if you got up to go to the concession stand or whatever, you probably dropped your hot dog. Like, what in the world, right? So we find out afterwards that Corey Hollis had a steel plate under his shirt to, I guess, shield him from the spear, which I just, I've said this before. We may not like him, but Corey Hollis is as cerebral as they come in SHW. He has done all sorts of crazy things. And I wondered, like, was Judas going to be out there with him? Like, was he going to actually have help? I just couldn't believe that this went down. I was in complete shock yet again.
It was totally unexpected. I mean, Corey, like you said, has done some underhanded, these little things, but I would have never in a million years guessed that he would have had a bulletproof vest, so to speak, to stop him. And I keep doing that to stop him from, getting speared by Gunner. But I don't know. I was kind of hoping towards the end. I was like, Gunner's supposed to get up, and this is not going to be a 3 count. Didn't happen that way. I was completely shocked.
He was out. I mean, he was out.
He was gone.
We were like, what's happening here?
Corey Hollis hit him with the breastplate of righteousness. Like, what in the world, sir? Right. What are you doing? My mind was blown, and I couldn't believe it.
Yeah.
No,
Bill.
So, like I said, that can't be over. That can't be the end of that feud between those two guys. I don't know what's going to happen next. But I know that and you saw when Gunner was like slowly coming to, like he's trying to figure out, wait, what happened? And kind of, shoving people away. Like, once he figured out what actually happened, he was irate backstage.
Oh yeah,
and it's going to be just like it already was leading up to this past match. Anything it takes, he's going to get his hands on Corey Hollis once again.
Absolutely.
And we'll see where it goes from here. But moving on. The big main event of the night, SHW title match, the highly anticipated Joe Black, after relinquishing the title last December, never lost it, had to relinquish it due to injury. He was told at that time, whenever you're healthy, whenever you're back, you get your shot whenever you want it. Well, SHW29 was the night he wanted that shot. And we saw some really, really, really good video packages that were put together leading up to SHW29. And man, I got to tell you, and I think 99.9% of the people in that building, and the 0.1% being David Ali, and that's it. But 99.9% of the people in that building, I thought Joe Black was going to walk away.
Yeah.
The 2-time SHW champion. I was shocked. Again, as I was all night. A lot of shocking moments. A lot of hot dog dropping moments.
Yes.
Definitely. I will have to say this, though. And since Joe's been back, he's had like three showings, 2 matches and 1 showing maybe. I can't help but to see he is favoring that leg. He favored it coming down the stairs. He favored it.
David went right after it too, man.
Oh yeah,
target.
So maybe he saw what I saw, because I'm thinking I would have probably done the same thing. That was the weak spot. Was he 100%? Was he really 100%? Was he ready to come back and take on David, who's larger than life right now? Not just his ego, but his ability, his running for wrestler of the year. I mean, everything that Joe has been, David's kind of in that spot right now. Was he ready, seriously ready to come back and take that on? I mean, I have no question he has the ability and the might and the will and, mentality to come back and do that. But was he really 100% ready to come back and take that title from David Ali?
It's very interesting because we talked about that on commentary that, does this mean that Joe Black came back too soon? That's one thing. But the other thing is, this is not the same David Ali that Joe Black left to. Joe Black, David Ali, December 2020, much different result, but at this point, we are looking at a completely different animal in David Ali. David Ali continues his historic reign with the most successful title defenses of any SHW champion in history, which is crazy. As of right now, 217 days as SHW champion. And
unreal.
It's unbelievable. When he won that title in December of 2020, I don't think any of us thought that as of right now, we would still be talking about David Ali as your SHW champion. And it's scary to me because it's as though he just gets stronger and stronger and stronger. Yeah.
It's still my favorite call of all time when he won the title. GB, no! Sorry.
No,
it's my favorite.
Because in my mind of all of the possibilities in that match, and there were 6 amazing people in that match. That was the last person that I expected, not because of his ability, but because of what I saw that meaning for SHW. To have somebody who calls themselves a savior now with all of that power. Now he has the wins. Now he has history on his side. And so this is now a scary scenario because who's left for David Ali right now? Yeah. He has beaten the upper echelon of SHW. Joe Black has been considered unbeatable in SHW. It's a very rare moment that his shoulders are pinned to the mat. And in this case, his shoulders weren't. Instead, he passed out. Like, it blew my mind. I never thought we would see that happen at all. So David Ali is, and I hate admitting this, he's in a class all by himself right now. And I don't know what it's going to take or who it's going to take to knock him off of his throne.
Yeah.
217 days and counting. And he's about 2 weeks away from officially being the longest reigning champion. And that's, there's the asterisk by the whole pandemic time in terms of time we were off. Well, these 217 days have been active days as champion for David Ali. There's so much to be said for that. And it's very clear. He's not always been very kind to me. He's never been kind to me. What am I talking about? But I got to recognize what he has accomplished. It is history in the making.
Yeah.
And there are those who, don't necessarily agree with some of the views I have about David Ali. But regardless of their opinions, David Ali is without question the front runner for Wrestler of the Year in 2021. If you are the longest reigning champion in the #1 promotion with the most title defenses, hello, Saints and friends. Are you kidding me? So yeah, I don't know. Like, I don't know who beats David Ali at this point. And I don't know what it takes to beat David Ali. He's gone against monsters. He's gone against rivals. He's gone against the unbeatable. He's found a way. So, and he gets better.
Yeah.
What can you say?
Well, I do know who's next for David Ali, and we're going to talk about that here in a minute, but let's finish out the show here because it didn't just end when Joe Black passed out. He got busted open. There was some blood loss there. He was in that submission hold, and he never tapped, but he passed out. The referee had no choice but to call the match. Yeah. So David retains. In comes, through the crowd, somebody that I did not expect at all to see at SHW29.
No.
After Logan Creed had got busted in the head by a flaming barbed wire bat right in the head, I was like, well, he'll be out for a while, seemingly. No, he comes through the crowd, all bandaged up, where he'd gotten busted with that flaming bat, and seemingly to go right after David Ali. David Ali, of course, hightails it, and next thing we know, everybody gets shocked. when he takes down Joe Black.
Mm-hmm.
And then all the people start coming to the ring, like security from the back, some of the wrestlers from the back. He starts taking out everybody. Dylan brings out Brooklyn, Logan's wife, to try to talk some sense into him, calm him down. Because at this point, I'm thinking, okay, he's still very upset about what happened with David Ali. He's taking out his frustrations on everybody and, you know, try to talk some sense into him. Dylan gets in the ring. And then Brooklyn got on the mic trying to calm him down at first. And then all of a sudden, she said what she said and, like, snapped her fingers, and he turns on Dylan.
Mm.
They were Sunny Days and Logan Creed formed the tag team Fear. They've been here since the beginning of SHW. You know, they've been a dominant tag team. And for Logan to turn and attack Dylan, and not just attack him, but wrap the chain around his neck, stomp his head into the mat. I mean, it was brutal. And Brooklyn, you know, gave him that mask. He puts this mask on like he's a completely different person now. I didn't know what to make of it. We were shocked at the commentary booth, and Diana, I'm sure you were too. The crowd was.
Oh, yeah.
We didn't know to make it. What was happening?
I think Logan's gone. I think Logan Creed is no more, and whatever this character is that was in that ring that destroyed everybody that came out there, it was nowhere. Who I saw so close, face to face, before I got out of the way. The look in those eyes there was no more Logan. There's no more Logan. It scared me.
And when he took that bandage off to put the mask on,
yeah.
And I don't know how quick. I don't know if our cameras how well they caught it, but he had this gruesome like burn mark from where the flaming barbed wire bat had hit him, and then he covered it up with that mask. It was crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was very nervous for your well-being, Diana, because he was hitting everything that moved.
Yeah.
And when he came your direction, I was like, "Oh God, no! Oh God, no!"
I didn't know. I mean, normally if Logan is in his rage, I still feel like I could be okay in that vicinity. But at that particular time, I was nowhere near him. He made a beeline towards me. And it really shook me up. It scared me. I couldn't get away from him fast enough. Yeah. And of course, we had bodies all over the floor. I was either going to step on them, step over them, or fall down with them. Luckily, I cleared them. But and then to see Brooklyn just standing there, just laughing about how he's just become this big chaos of destruction, I guess. I don't know what you would call him, whatever he's going by. I don't know, but she was eating it up and loving it. And I didn't know what to think. I'm just trying to hide myself behind a pole. Maybe he won't see me because I don't want him coming after me. Yeah. You know, I mean, it freaked me out, scared me. I don't see how, I don't know. It's not just the mask. You could see something in his eyes.
And I blame David Ali for this. You know, everything.
That's
David
just more
Ali
power he has, right? And more power.
There was a point when David Ali was standing on the stage watching Logan Creed, and he had this pretty sick smirk on his face. And I don't know if there's a connection or if this is just the impact that he had on Logan Creed, but it was a scary moment. And I just, you know, we were somewhat speechless because we couldn't believe what we were seeing. We could not believe Logan Creed would turn on Joe Black, would turn on Dylan, you know, for all they've accomplished. They've been the only ones to get a pinfall on David Ali since David Ali has been champion. Right. So they've accomplished something very, very special to only have that same David Ali now poison the mind of Logan Creed. It is a shocking moment, and we don't know what's next or what that means for SHW at this point. Nobody is safe. We're not safe. Nobody is safe from Logan Creed or whatever he's morphed into. This is not the same guy who was the SHW champion. This is not the same guy who has been beloved by fans all over SHW. There is something different. And the fact that Brooklyn Creed is aligning herself with this, I don't know.
I mean, she was clearly in on it.
Clearly.
You know, she looked like she was trying to talk him off the ledge, and then all of a sudden she changed her tune. And,
Yeah.
It was insane. It was absolutely insane. And yeah, we don't know where he goes from here, what that means for SHW going forward. But we do know that August 6th, SHW 30, also known as the third annual Rumblejack. We are very excited, of course, coming out of SHW 29. We've got at least 7 that we know of and more that are on the way. Some that throughout the upcoming weeks, we're going to find out some more. But let's mention the ones coming out of SHW 29. You had Kingsley, you had Judas, you had Owen Knight, you had Star, Ziki Dice, and then, of course, we talked about Carly Bravo was announced, and last month, or 2 months ago at this point, Tank was announced.
That's right.
There's those 7. And then I mentioned earlier, you talked about who was going to be next for David Ali. Well, we saw this video earlier this week that happened backstage.
Yeah.
Of course, we mentioned Jordan Kingsley had been attacked by Cyrus out in the ring. Brutal attack. Makes his way backstage. Todd Sexton goes back there to check on him, see how he's doing. I mean, he's all sorts of banged up. And then walks David Ali. Well, Todd Sexton, who we found out is going to be somewhat of an authority figure in SHW, he's already shaking things up because now he's made a title match between David Ali and Jordan Kingsley at the Rumblejack. So that means that Kingsley is going to get a title match, and whether he wins or loses, well, I guess if he loses, he's already entered into the Rumblejack. If he were to win, there would be no need for him to be in the Rumblejack.
Right.
So it's just a crazy turn of events there. Now, here's the other thing. Typically, and I could be wrong because I have not seen the layout of the match card yet, but typically, the Rumblejack match ends the show. In any other circumstance, a championship match for the SHW title would end the show. So I'm assuming the way this is going to work is that title match between Kingsley and Ali will take place before the Rumblejack. So that means, like I said, if Kingsley loses, he still gets to go to the Rumblejack and has another opportunity to get a shot at the title. It's just a crazy turn of events there.
It is. It's a crazy turn of events. And here's my thought on it. You know, you just never know how one night or one moment can change your life. I hearken back to December the 6th or 7th, 2019. You know, this guy has had a really rough day, and he's coming in to be a part of the SHW faithful. And he gets met at the door and asked a question that would change his life. And that question is, hey, do you want to do commentary tonight? Right? It only takes one moment to change the trajectory of your life. That same night, a certain announcer of the year finds herself auditioning to become the voice, the announcer for SHW. That all happened in the same night, folks.
Same night.
Only takes one night to change your life. And for all of the bad fortune that Jordan Kingsley has had, all of the time with Logan Chase, all of the challenges that he has had, he now gets a one-on-one match for the SHW championship. It doesn't matter whether or not it makes sense to people. Here's what you do understand. We all have been waiting for that phone call. We've all have been waiting for that email. We all have been waiting for that seemingly chance meeting with that person that can give us the opportunity to change our lives. Todd Sexton did that for Jordan Kingsley. Jordan Kingsley could walk out of the Rumblejack with a better spot than what he thought he was going in with. He thought he was going in to fight 30 men potentially to get a shot at the title. He's bypassed that now. He could leave the Rumblejack as the SHW champion. Who can't relate to that? I can certainly relate to it. I'm living it, and I'm on the podcast now because of one person making that move. So for Jordan Kingsley, this is without Logan Chase. This is without any other member of the Honor Society. He was in the right place at the right time, and all he needs is 3 good seconds, and he could be the king of SHW and do what nobody else has managed to do. I think this is an amazing opportunity for Jordan Kingsley. He's got to get Cyrus out of his mind. He's got to get Logan Chase out of his mind. This is the thing he's been waiting for. And when he was on the podcast several months ago, he talked about wanting a shot at the SHW championship. You finally got your wish. Man, you better go for the fences.
Actually, he's got 2 opportunities at that title.
In theory, yes, he does.
Yes. I mean, he's got that 1-on-1. And if that doesn't work, he's got the 1-on-30. But still,
yeah.
I mean, you got to get through what you get through, but you have that opportunity. That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, he could turn out to be the dark horse here and actually pull this thing off. And we talked about earlier, David Ali has gotten through monsters. He's gotten through the unbeatable. He's gotten through rivals like Owen Knight at the beginning of the year.
Yeah.
He's gotten through all these guys who we didn't think he could get through. And, I mean, this could be something crazy that nobody would expect, that Jordan Kingsley turns out to be the guy to take the title off of him.
Do you remember that year when the New England Patriots went to the Super Bowl and they were undefeated?
Oh, yeah.
And they had the opportunity to be like the only other undefeated team besides the Miami Dolphins back in the 70s to literally win the championship undefeated.
Yeah.
And they took on a team that just barely made it in. They were like barely a 500 team who got in on the wild card and by an off chance made it to the Super Bowl. And they ended up being the team to knock off the undefeated. Listen, it's sometimes the unexpected people that come in and they can match up well and right. Nobody saw the Atlanta Hawks getting as far as they got in the NBA final, or in the NBA playoffs and things. These things can happen, and Jordan Kingsley could have the number of the champion. And listen, we'd be talking about the entire complexion of SHW could change with a moment like this. So
that's right.
I'm rooting for the underdog simply because he's an underdog, and I see myself in him.
There you go.
Very good.
And I don't know if you guys have seen this movie, but it was one of my favorites growing up called Angels in the Outfield. And there's a little kid in the movie called JP, and he always says, hey, it could happen.
It could happen.
It could happen.
And that's exactly what I think when it comes to Jordan Kingsley. Hey,
don't count him out.
It could happen.
Never count him out.
Absolutely.
It could happen, and you could come watch it happen August 6th. SHW30, also known as the 3rd annual SHW Rumblejack. It's going to be awesome. Rumblejack is always one of our biggest shows of the year. You never know who's going to show up. And, you saw a post, you guys saw it too, I'm sure, on SHW's social media last week or maybe earlier this week, where they said, we're still not sure if we're going to stop at 30. And Gary even said it when he was out in the ring. They may go to 40 competitors. I mean, it could, who knows? We don't know who all is going to show up. We've seen a few that have been announced already. But and of course we'll announce some more in the next couple weeks. But it's going to be awesome, and you never know who's going to show up at SHW. We say it every single month.
Every single month.
But it's going to be awesome, man. I just can't wait. It's right around the corner.
Yeah.
Rumblejack. So
it's very close.
Very
excited.
Can't wait.
Very excited. But we will be back next week to talk to you a little bit more and pump you up a little bit more for the Rumblejack. We'll know a little bit more about the entrance, about who all's going to be in there. And but until then, by the way, forgive me for the raspy voice. I barely made it through this whole thing. I wasn't sure if I would.
You sound great.
You did fine.
I feel like I just called a crazy SHW show, and I'm barely hanging in there.
Yeah.
But hey, until next week, thank you guys for listening. This has been
SHW.
This is Our Wrestling.